Thank you for joining me for episode 9 of Soapbox Daily. Today, is climate change real or just a scare tactic? This is an important topic, folks. We're going to touch on this a little, and it might be a topic for a bigger show at one point. So let's start off, of course. How is your integrity today? And also, to get the ball rolling, please check out getoffmysoapbox.com for more information about this show and our long format show of Get Off My Soapbox podcast, airing next week, August 3rd. Be sure to check that out. Average running time, no less than 30 minutes, and it can go upwards from there depending on the topic. So today we're talking about a very important topic. I'm going to try to get through it as much as possible today, but of course, this might be a bigger show at one point. It is about climate change, and is climate change real or just a scare tactic? What is climate change? Which is the biggest question that people are curious about, because before you go running and get your tinfoil hat and start blaming the government for chemtrails and everything else, because there are those people that like to blame the government for everything, let's get into some facts. Now, keep in mind, I'm not licensed, certified, or anything in the science community or whatever. This is just information that I've looked up, and also, of course, common sense. So moving forward, just know that. But climate change involves significant changes in average conditions such as temperature, precipitation, wind patterns, and other aspects of climate that occur over the years, decades, centuries, or longer. It's basically things that are changing that are not on the normal. So, people even realize that the summers are getting warmer, and maybe some new events in the area that they didn't see before. Like, I know for a fact where I'm at, we started having yearly tornadoes and stuff like that. This is not normal, right? Especially since over the last 30 years, never saw this, and something's changing when you have these oddities that are happening in your own backyard. And some people will be like, well, summers are getting warmer, but this is odd because even though the planet's warming, some areas are experiencing cold and snowy winters. Well, yeah, even though your town is experienced record-breaking cold and snowfall, it's still warming. What's happening, folks, is I'm just going to let you know in a simpler term. Climate change is changing weather patterns. People hear global warming, people hear, all these buzzwords and everything else, but they're all related. Everything's a domino effect, folks. No matter how much you try to avoid it, everything is a domino effect. Everything affects everything else. And the biggest contributor, the biggest problem when it comes to global warming is humans, of course. We generate our own heat, but we also pollute the earth. We don't take care of it. We are the ones that are responsible. Not the government responsible, not aliens responsible. We're responsible because we are not very good caretakers. We don't do what we're supposed to. When it comes down to it, people are asking, what's the difference between weather and climate? Well, weather refers to the day-to-day state of the atmosphere, such as the combination of temperature, humidity, rainfall, wind, and other factors. And climate describes the weather of a place averaged over a period of years, often 30 years, as I mentioned before. I mean, think about it this way. Climate is something that could be expected to happen in general, like a cold winter season, whereas weather is just weather is just what a person might experience on a given day, like a snowfall in January or a sunny day in July. And I'll tell you, this July, we've had some pretty sunny days and some pretty warm days. So when it comes down to it, let's look at the causes, because as much as we'd like to pass the buck and everything else, big business and all that stuff, and those hidden entities that we tend to ignore because they make our life comfortable and we just take it for granted, are actually the culprits. What is the biggest thing that causes climate change? Fossil fuels. Number one is fossil fuels. And a big debate on this from, I know people, but what are fossil fuels? Coal, oil, gas are by far the largest contributors to global climate change, accounting for over 75% of global greenhouse gas emissions and nearly 90% of all carbon dioxide emissions. As greenhouse emissions blanket the earth, they trap in the sun's heat. Everything goes hand in hand, okay? But these things, coal, oil, and gas, think about how many cars are on the planet. The oil industry, yes, oil and gas. Think about how many cars. Think about how many times you were the only person in a car. Think about how wasteful you were at wasting gas. Even with the gas prices, that don't seem to deter people. Gotta start thinking smarter here, people, because we're running out of time. The longer we leave corrections and changes to help climate change get back to normal, the bigger the problem. Those weather patterns will get a lot worse. The weather will get a lot worse. it'll be chaos. Get on it today. Think about it today. Research how you could fix it today. Think about what you could do today. Don't wait till tomorrow. Time's running out. Okay, I'm going to wrap this up for today. Thank you very much for listening. I am your host, Mad Morgan. Please check out getoffmysoapbox.com for this show and, of course, our long format show starting next week. Other than that, have yourself a wonderful day, and I'll see you tomorrow.